welcome to Christian Warrior Talk on Patriot Crusader Mission Biblical Life Support Edition on Wednesday. Oh, you're muted.
I'm not on. I'm on.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, and you get Lauren.
Give me. We're switching it up because you guys got Pastor Perry on Monday. We kind of are just flip-flopping our days here.
Yeah. So let us know who's here. Wednesday night, as you guys remember, is all Bible. So we might get into some other topics because it's kind of an unconventional BLS. But hit us with your best Bible questions, your struggles. We're here for you. This is a tight community. We've got some rough news with Bill. You see one of your streams is having connection issues.
Just checking here to see what we're looking like. Yeah, we're frozen we're freezing up on YouTube.
Well, let me see. I don't know why that would be.
Freezing up a lot on YouTube.
Oh.
No one's on yet, but
yeah, we're kicking on Signal. I don't know what the problem would be.
Check Facebook.
I mean, X out of as many programs as possible, but it's
Hey guys, we see a couple people signing on. We're getting warnings that our signal's not the best for some reason, so we're just trying to
I got a message from Restream that they're having some issues. Hey guys, well there's Michelle, so YouTube is fine, says Paul.
Okay. Alrighty, Facebook's looking smooth. So we'll go until you tell us that we're not going.
All right. Well, I'd love to hear what you guys thought about wasn't a lot of planning able to do that. I was just, the Holy Spirit was on me like, whoa, I had to do that.
Yeah, I see YouTube's kind of jumping up around a little bit still. I think that's the one that you're getting the warnings.
All right, so why don't we kill her? And see how it goes.
Paul Race, Michelle, you're not getting any jumping on YouTube? Because on my phone, when I'm looking at it, it keeps freezing up.
I'm going to swap over the other network. Let's see what happens. Well, thanks, Paul, for your kind words.
I don't think you need to apologize ever for being raw, for being emotional, for being in the moment.
Well, I know there's a lot of unconventional. Like, I know that, it was very unconventional. I started off with hard Christian rock with Fall Goliath. And then, I did some talking before that was pretty informal. And then did a very unconventional sermon with a lot of prolonged footage. But
obviously conventional is not working all that great for the church. So
yeah.
I don't think that you have a single thing to apologize for. I think that if anything, you will inspire people to branch out, try something new, reach new audiences, because I think it comes across authentic and impactful. And I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, thanks, Michelle. I really appreciate that. And Claudia, it's good to see you. And then, of course, one of my best friends in the whole world, Paul Race, on here. It's good to see you on here live, Paul. I know it's past your bedtime. Yeah, one of my best friends comes with the territory. You're going to get some pokes because I know you can take it. I don't know if you guys saw this today, but I wanted to show you that Lauren did something pretty bold.
For Lauren.
You guys know Lauren is very low key
on social media.
And it's blowing up on our site right now, on our Instagram right now. So I thought that you guys might want to see this because, Lauren is a little quiet and doesn't get passionate about many things, but Mama Bear came out to roar. So this is, Yes, it's the video of the ultrasound. So let me get this set up. Here we go. And here comes Mama Bear. So really, really, really strong. I mean, I can't tell you. Your sermon had voiced the sentiments of many. That was a glorious post by Lauren. Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, good job.
Thanks, John.
You
Thanks,
know.
Paul.
So, what made you get off the sidelines? What made you get off the couch?
I mean, well, obviously, it's very personal to me right now, and I have said this multiple times throughout this pregnancy, kind of at various points and various appointments. Where we are through the medical system being reinforced that this is a life, that we've created. All of the signs there from the very early appointments, and at each stage of that, knowing that we could at any point choose to end it. And it just none of that when you are pregnant yourself and you've created life yourself, it creates such more of a it just does not jive with what kind of the abortion message is, and people who just completely disregard the fact that that is a separate life. The whole "my body, my choice" thing just completely falls apart when you're experiencing it personally. And I had these convictions prior to being pregnant with her, and be at that point. I used to be pro-choice, as that post said, and that changed when I also came to faith. But so I think we had a checkup yesterday, and I was able to hear the heartbeat again. And so it just kind of re-drove home that even at this stage, I'm 25 plus weeks now. I chose the 3D picture from the 21-week ultrasound though for that post. But even at this stage, there are still more than a couple states that we could terminate. And it just does not sit well. So I thought I have the ability right now to show a personal, not just kind of pull stats offline, but show a personal representation of life being created. And so I felt convicted to put it out.
Is there any part of the baby we lost that was in this?
That really actually was not heavy on my heart, or not really part of my thought process. Probably if we had been farther along when we had that
Yeah.
miscarriage, but no, that actually was not one of the. I think it's more because that one we didn't choose to terminate at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, only a couple of weeks along at that point. It's not like we chose to terminate at that, where a lot of abortions
Yeah.
are kind of in that age, plus a couple of weeks of when we lost that first one. But more it becomes more real and more heinous, the fact that now, I mean, you're able to feel kicks now. She has a face, she moves, and all of this stuff
She's a
that we could
person.
still
She's a person.
that we could still terminate. And that
It's sickening.
it's really horrifying to think about. And I think a lot of people don't appreciate that have never been pregnant. They do not appreciate or gone through pregnancy kind of as a couple, the life form that is within the woman. They don't recognize that the heartbeat starts so early, and everything that goes on kind of that creates that personhood exactly what it is that they are killing or supporting killing.
Well, I mean, I remember growing up in the Northeast where, I mean, abortions were every day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like,
You know, the deeper into faith that I get and just everyone that our culture is so supportive of sin and taking away personal responsibility and personal accountability, and that abortion is essentially used as a backup birth control so that you can go out and be promiscuous and do the act that is intended by God to create life. And you want to be able to do it, and oops, if you accidentally create life, no big deal, I could just get rid of it. I think it just does not sit well. The more Christian I become, the far less it sits well in any way.
I mean, from someone who was extremely supportive of that, I was extremely supportive of that.
And I appreciate the argument or the sentiment about rape, and people who I have no sympathy at all for people who had their one night stand or their casual hookup, whatever, and ended up pregnant. That's your fault. You knew that was a possibility. The woman who is raped, and in a lot, in looking up kind of how many at this age of the video that I made, how many states could I still choose to terminate? And it was at the age of 21 weeks, it was 32 states. But there was a lot of states that, as that list dwindles, they still make exceptions essentially till the end for cases of rape and incest. And
I'm sorry,
feel
but
for them,
but
but
once
you were raped day one. How can you let it is it for people who are like, I think I can do this, I want to have this baby, and then get cold feet like right before due date, and then the system is supposed to have empathy for them? Like, I lose it there. I do not have any empathy in that situation if you let it get that far and then decide you don't want to have it. I don't understand why they need 9 months. I still don't think they should be able to terminate at all. I feel for those women in that situation. But even if you make an exception for them in the first couple of weeks, first trimester,
the only time,
why do they need 9
yeah,
months?
yeah, I think that if you had to, whatever outside of the life of the mother thing, to the morning after pill or something like that, you know, as Christians we still consider that,
Mm-hmm.
an abortion. But I can justify that in my head more than I'm going to let this cook and develop
Yeah,
for
that part
months and months and months and months.
I don't understand it. I
Yeah.
mean, because if anything with rape, you would be monitoring more closely.
Right.
I think. I mean, I have not personally experienced that, so I cannot speak to that. But you'd be, you would be kind of more hyper cautious or hyper aware of wanting to know if you got pregnant from an act like that versus maybe your drunken one night stand where um, or whatever the case was that a baby is made. And the morning after pill, I know that it can take several days for conception to actually happen after intercourse, and so you could say morning after pill if you take it immediately wouldn't even necessarily, it'd be preventing life from being able to be created, but not even necessarily terminate, so I mean it's a gray area.
How did the old you feel about it? Like, I mean, let's talk about the schools. The schools used to just drive it home. It's just cells. It's nothing. Like, I remember it being pushed. Like, it was literally like going and getting an ingrown toenail cut out. There was no more thought to it than that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember in how they framed kind of the development of humanness or personhood throughout that, but I definitely was supportive of abortion. I don't think I ever thought through it. Like I was supportive of it in the thought process of people who abort usually do it in like the first couple of weeks. I'm not sure I ever really put much thought to it beyond like second trimester, third trimester, and I definitely didn't appreciate what that would have meant in the same way, nearly in the same way that I do
now. And how has been the feedback on your post?
Well, good, Michelle. I love that video. I mean, I think the people who I care about now, whose opinions I care about now, are supportive of it. It puts into words opinions and feelings that they have as well.
Now, what about your bitter old lady crew?
I haven't heard. I mean, it was shared onto my personal Facebook page. There has been zero traffic one way or the other on it. I think that people in my old world probably do not agree with it, but maybe don't want to voice that to me in a public forum.
Right.
So, and I know that some family sees my Facebook. Not all family sees my Facebook. And I haven't gotten any feedback from anybody other than people in my world now who are the ones I care about.
Well, I want to salute you for stepping into the fight there. I know it's not your nature, but it's great to see Mama Bear rise up.
Thank you.
And so I'm proud of you. I can't tell you how much of a relief and how much better I feel after my sermon. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was drained out of that, but it was such a euphoric feeling after, feeling like I was in his will. And so my message to people out there is, if God's telling you to say something, or it's on your heart, or it's bothering you, don't stay silent. You're going to regret not saying it. Mm-hmm. So if you're saying truth, get out there and say it.
I think more and more I have to think about if I am feeling led to say something or act upon something that I believe to be kind of from God, not just a me thought, and I hesitate to do it, I'm having to analyze, and I'm doing a better job at analyzing, why am I hesitating? Am I hesitating for sincere reasons because I'm not sure it's actually a God thing, or am I hesitating because I'm worried about worldly opinions about it because of my past and the people that I still interact with and care about in my past who are very contrary to where I am now? Am I worried about what they're going to think about it? And if I realize that it's this option B, I am trying to do a better job at pushing forward with doing what I know is not going to sit well with those people.
Yeah.
Which is not something you struggle with so much.
Well, I mean, I do
not anymore.
Yeah. Well, I worry I'm going to hurt people I care about's feelings when I say things. I mean, there are people who I adore that may have differing opinions, but truth is truth, and I owe them the truth more so because they're on the other side of it. Yeah. Saying it to people who agree with me is great, affirming them in their beliefs. Mm-hmm. But I got to say it to the most challenging people that I know and I care about. Yeah.
I think if it's something that is specific to a dynamic or an issue you're working through with one person, I think being that we have a public forum like this, it's important to not say anything through this platform before it is voiced to that person specifically, if that's a relevant situation. But if you're just talking, we both have liberal Democrats in our family, and people who do not believe in what we're believing in right now. And if you're just referencing, that they as a group might not like what you're saying, then I don't think that's the same thing.
God gave me the words, or today, to really describe him a little bit better. Like, why can't just a good person, go to heaven? Mm-hmm. And you have to ask what God is first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Holy.
Mm-hmm.
Holy versus unholy.
Mm-hmm.
To deny God is unholy and is sin.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelief is sin. So the standard to get into heaven is holy. So your deeds and what you do can be proof of your belief because Jesus commands you to do those things.
Right.
But if you're just a good person without the belief, it means nothing.
Yeah.
Because you're denying the creator of the universe and he cannot allow holiness. So it's holy before love.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everyone's like, God is love. Yeah, but he's holy 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're made holy.
Well, and that's what I used to, when I was an atheist, I struggled with that a lot. We can't either, Claudia. Can't wait to meet that beautiful
Hopefully,
baby.
guys, you'll be living here by then.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold my breath.
Time
Ready?
is getting short on you. We'll need help from our surrogate grandparents.
Maybe I won't do that. Hold my breath. Yeah. We need our surrogate grandparents. We need our babysitters down here. Come on. Where's Dee tonight? I haven't seen Dee on here in a long time.
All right, John. Due to my beliefs and at times being a bit outspoken, I've pissed off more people than I care to admit. Well, if you're speaking the truth on God's behalf.
Hey, there's Lorna.
Right.
You haven't made it in a while on time.
Hi.
It's good to see you. Welcome,
How
welcome,
you
welcome.
Doing? Hope you're hanging in there. I've been seeing your posts on Facebook. I know you're getting the brunt of things in Connecticut there. In
Oof. I'm telling you guys, it's just going to get worse. Biden hasn't even hit midway through his term yet.
Not even close.
He's not even a year in yet, guys. Like, you people in blue states are insane if you don't get out of there. Like, if you don't think that they're the vaccine and everything else police are coming to your door, you're done.
Well, I hope your days have gotten better since the last time I spoke to you. Hi, Mary Jo.
Hey, man. Mary Jo, I just saw that you're coming to the Fortune. Yeah.
Awesome.
Get some. You know what? I'm even going to give you a little.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
Wednesday, strength and honor.
Yep.
All right, Michelle, there's a reason why we have a rearview mirror in our lives. Sometimes we have to leave people in our rearview mirror. Yep.
It's true. It's true. Now, I want to, again, we've talked about discipling and we've talked about, sharing the gospel with people in your past who are not saved. And you should do that. But you should only do that on safe ground, right? Don't risk getting sucked down because it's a lot easier for them to contaminate you and drag you down, for lack of a better term, than it is for you to lift them up. So make sure you're on super solid footing and make sure you're doing it with someone else that another strong brother or sister in Christ who can watch your back because you might start sliding.
Yeah, and I mean, I am starting, through gaining confidence with this show and just living around it kind of much more fully. I am now starting to feel more confident in being able to have conversations with my family and with other kind of non-believers without being extremely susceptible to them being able to kind of poke holes in my faith, or try to kind of, play the mind games and stuff in the way that people do when they're having a conversation with someone who they don't agree with. And I'm now finding myself kind of on solid enough footing, as you said, that I'm having more confidence in approaching those.
Well, I mean, nothing anyone's going to be able to say to me is going to shake my faith. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of the tactics. I used to use them when I would try to eviscerate Christians, and I just feel sorry for them. I feel sorry with them that I have a peace and they don't.
Yeah.
And I was an awful sinner. I mean, I'm still a sinner, but I was an awful, unrepentant sinner.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing I didn't do. I mean, I was awful and unrepentant. And now being a repentant, light filled, servant of God, it's completely different. Now I'm ashamed of even the slightest sidestep,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, and it's a much better place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's I was having a conversation with Shay today, and she said she had watched my video from my little story from this weekend about how I'd had a hard we ended up both having a hard weekend, but I kind of said Satan really had a field day with my mind on Sunday, and she was watching it saying, Lauren never has never struggles, and um it's like that's absolutely not true, but having God now and having that way to lean on him, to keep in the times that I struggle and in the times where I am tempted to sin, to have kind of those bumper rails,
Those
essentially,
guardrails. Yeah.
To be much more aware of my actions of sin in moments where I have struggled before, and being able to ask him to help me through that without sinning. Whereas before it would have been like wreckage, and then a couple of days later or whatever, being like, I really don't like how I acted there, and
Right.
now I'm much more on top of it because of.
Well, I mean, you have
God.
such a high standard for yourself, and I wish we all had the same high standard that you have for yourself. I mean, you are, you are walking the walk. I mean, you really are. And, you didn't have a lot of wreckage in your life to reconcile. I mean, we're all sinners, we're all broken, but you were able to make corrections and just drive on this life so hard. It's been really inspiring.
Well, and that's what we were starting to talk about prior to people jumping in with comments, is the it doesn't count to just be a good person thing. And that is where I got really hung up on when I was an atheist. It was the I am a good person thing. And like, because I believe that about myself. I towed the line just as a human, as a daughter, member of society. I really towed the line, and I was like, I'm a good person. So who's going to tell me that I don't get to go somewhere? I didn't really believe in heaven at that point, but it's like, why would I not get there? If it's a thing, why would I not get there?
There's a vanity to that, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, I had that same thing when I was an atheist and I was defiant, and I'm like, I've done more good for people than most.
Mm-hmm.
I've risked my life, my
really
entire life,
Mm-hmm.
for people. Yeah, I did a ton of bad stuff, but in the scale, my books were way balanced.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
I
such
have family
misleading
members who are currently in that train of thought, and it's sad and it's scary to see them still there.
Yeah, as I told you, I had a missed my grandfather the other day,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I ever talked about that.
No, you haven't on air.
So you guys are gonna laugh. My grandfather, you got to remember, I was born in 72, so it was in the late 70s, early 80s, and his favorite band was ABBA at the time. And so I remember doing long car rides with him with, those that, and they're Swedish, I think. Those old 70s, 80s songs. And I don't know why I needed to hear them, but I did.
So on Sunday, we went for a family drive, and you were trying to play, like old playlists and stuff, and it was a lot of the music that we used to live to, that you were like, this one will be okay, swear word, and you're like, okay, skip, and so you settled on ABBA. You like that finally hit on your playlist, and you're like, okay, B can be in the car, and we can listen to this as Christians with a toddler. And
yeah, I mean, I was even
okay.
just trying to listen to like old dance music I listen to, and it's all bad. It's all outside of God's
So it's
will.
either not Christian or it's not good for a toddler.
And
so yeah, you ended up on.
I ended
on
up listening to ABBA, and it brought all the memories of my grandfather crashing back on me. I could hear his laugh. I could hear, you see his smile. I could hear him cussing at me. You know, I could hear him.
Fond memories.
Yeah.
Cussed out by.
You know, and the thought of him in hell, because I don't believe he was a believer, just made me so sad. It made me full of so much remorse for not preaching the gospel to him. Now, I wasn't saved then.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think that's a weight you can carry because you weren't.
Yeah, I know.
Equipped then. I
Christian had reached him because he was so bitter from obviously the sexual abuse and the abuse he received at the Catholic orphanage from the priests.
Yeah.
And that had such repercussions on my family for so long. And I know he became a very bitter, angry man at the end of his life because he lost his legs because of malpractice, and he just went downhill. He was the most independent man ever since he was 13.
Yeah.
And everything was taken from him, and he was just so bitter and angry. And the thought of him in eternal torment, it's not cool.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, you've lost a lot of family, and you've lost a lot of friends, obviously. And it seems like the thought of him there weighs the most heavily on you because you think that he was set up so unfairly.
He never had a chance. You know,
had less of a chance.
Right, he had less of a chance.
He started more handicapped as far as approaching.
Well, I don't ever recall having any Christian friends push into him. You know, we were living in the liberal Northeast.
Yeah.
Catholicism was the only thing really there that we knew of. I didn't even know what the heck a Protestant was.
Right.
For the longest time, I had no idea. Because all my buddies were all in Catholic school, and it was creepy as heck. Or Catholic church, it was creepy as heck. You know, and so I just was really sad because you know, I'd heard him curse God for people dying and even his dog dying, and you know, the most ridiculous things in scope of things. But yeah, I was just really sad, and I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were good tears in a way, you know, being able to go down memory lane and just remember somebody and love them and miss them. The part that really was so despairing was him being in hell, if that's where he is. You know, I'm pleading with God that I hope that he had a you know, for him to have mercy on him, and to, you know, that hopefully, and on his deathbed, and I don't know how long it took him to go, that he came.
You were overseas when he passed, right? You were serving overseas at that time.
And
yeah, you pray that, and you pray that when you get there, you will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
You know, certainly the way that we talk about the narrow gate and everything, you know, that even people who proclaim themselves as Christians,
I think there's a lot of people who call themselves Christians are not going to be there, and they're probably the same people.
So what you know of your grandfather, it's hard to think that he is in heaven. I pray that he did, as you know, have that deathbed conversion that we hope that loved ones have, you know, if we weren't there to know that.
Well, I just remember Jesus saying when the kids came around, and I'm going to butcher this verse, but you know, anybody who causes one of these kids to misstep, you know, will have an awful outcome. That is not what the verse, but that's, you know, it's, you know, and I'm just hoping that there's some grace for somebody who was victimized by somebody in the church who may have hardened hearts that way. And again, I can't find that in the Bible, you know, but I'm praying, you know, I pray for that. I'm praying that maybe that, you know, somehow, some way, that if I got there, man, that'd be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's certainly for all of us who have family members or people that we love that are tracking in that direction, It is certainly, we've referenced multiple times your interview with the Hope Report on the 23 Minutes in Hell. And if that's not an eye opener for someone on what you were trying to save people from.
Yeah, well, I was talking,
certainly magnifies it.
Today when I was recapping, I'm talking to a couple people about writing my book and them helping me and advising me and recapping my story and talking about our time up in Maine where we really tried to go all in on your family and it didn't work out so well.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, I just wonder, why it was so hard to get to Maine. Obviously we weren't supposed to go. Our marriage suffered during that time.
Mm-hmm.
But we got Ken out of it, which is the good thing. And we don't have to wonder what would have happened if we went up there and were closer. Would have just been worse.
I have peace that we made that effort, and I have peace that we are not there anymore.
But I am so sad for the atheists in both our families.
Yeah, and you can never assume that you have another minute or another day. I'm praying that I can find the right words and actions to save the ones that are willing to be saved. I know that it's would not be ultimately me to do it. It's if Jesus can reach their hearts. But if I can do better at facilitating that, I'm going to try. And I pray that I have that time.
Yeah. It's just, I've been harping so hard on witnessing. But I honestly, when I read the parable of the seeds and the weeds and the stones and then the fertile ground, I think you're supposed to give it a go. And if it doesn't take, if they push you away, if they're not there, then you just have to have patience and wait for them, and then you can re-engage, as time goes on. But it's almost, you have to wait for them to come to you.
I think it's a balance. You poured so much energy into me for a year and a half.
Yeah.
You knew that I was
me open. And some good people.
That I was open to it.
Yeah. But you were always open.
Which can be a difference, versus trying to actively pour into someone who's stonewalling you the entire time, or just completely not giving you any feedback on what you are sharing with them. And I think that's one of the biggest, potentially the biggest differences on kind of when do you stop in that situation versus with me. I was at least engaging with what you were putting in front of me over that time, as frustrating as I was for you in that process.
Holy smokes, the most stubborn person on the planet.
But I was working through my own stuff over that time, and I am grateful, beyond grateful, that you did not give up earlier, because I don't know at what point I myself was over that hump, that if you had pulled back earlier, I would have still been okay. But for people who are never show any receptiveness to it, putting that same amount of effort into them, I'm not sure if it's warranted or not.
I mean, for those of you guys who don't know the story, we convened a small group to save Lauren under the guise of some other things.
Paul Race was a member.
Paul Race was a member
still
of that.
Here.
Val,
he might be in bed.
The Ferrugios and others were in there. And it was all designed to get Lauren saved. And we were successful, and we also helped some marriages along too.
Yeah.
Man, did we have a good Monday, Wednesday Hope Report with Brad and Heidi. Let me pull them up.
And Brandy, are you asking if you can send money to support the book, to buy the book? What are you asking specifically? Because the book is going to be a little ways off on actually being in book
in your
form.
hand. So this is their page, and it's called Build Your Marriage. He's a pastor, and that's his wife there. And, he, as a pastor, had an affair.
Yeah.
And they worked through it, and just a remarkable couple.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
beautiful, magical couple, full of so much light. They were so amazing to talk to. I'm just honored to have them in life. With the Hope Report, I am so thankful for the people that I get to meet on there.
Yeah, because I mean, they are people who've lived it out, who are there walking the walk. And I've said this before, it's those people who fully recognize and credit Jesus with their redemption. They are the ones living this out the way that we all should be. And Bride and Heidi they were a beautiful testimony to saving a marriage through the power and redemption of Jesus. And there just wasn't you didn't get any sense from them, as
Any
they're
phoniness,
recounting the
nothing.
story, that Heidi was holding on to any kind of anger or any negative emotion about what Brad did in the past. And
Ruin to Recovery is the one about their breakup.
Yeah. So. They're not their breakup. Their
struggle.
The struggle, yeah. And so they just both independently and together walked it out as they were called to. And I mean, I think it was so encouraging. Heidi, from the moment that she found out about this, she turned to God, and she said she was a Christian, but she recognized in herself that she was not walking as deeply as she needed to be to get through this. And instead of turning away, she turned towards, and she says that she is not that she's grateful that she had to go through it, but she recognizes the role
a completely different person
that trial had in her faith journey to where she is now, and she is blessed to be where she is now in her faith.
Yeah, and the thing that I found really mature and amazing about her, she's like, it was partly my fault.
Yes.
And so many people don't realize that. Like, you'll have a spouse, whether it's the guy or the girl, who'll remove all affection, like, for whatever reason, and expect nothing to happen.
Yeah. So in their case, he had moved away to start a new pastoring
Hey, Philip,
job.
I was just about ready to talk about you.
And so they were not in the same place. So she got caught up, as I can fully appreciate and recognize the schedule of the day, and that every time that her husband was trying to contact her, she was caught up in something. And so he just never got reinforced with that effort that he was trying to put in to stay connected remotely. And she was just focused on what was in front of her, which at the time was kids. And how often does that happen? And I know that I have to recognize that, even being in the same house. So I can, the stress of being long distance at that time.
Yeah, I mean, we're all weak people, and you got to make sure that your primary role is to your soulmate, your spouse.
Yeah.
And
your one flesh.
And you got to check in and make sure that they're okay. And they should be checking in on you, that you're okay. And I think the reason why our relationship is so different compared to others, including your previous relationships and my previous relationships, is that we communicate constantly. And that makes all the difference. And
in moments where when we notice a separation, it's generally that has fallen short.
Yeah. And I remember being upset with you and not wanting.
Have all of the I was like, the screen's looking empty tonight.
Oh, that's why I don't have
Is that something you can put on?
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's too much space up here.
Get the wrong one. Not that one. Not that one.
That was from your sermon. There you go.
There we go.
Our sky is filled.
Yeah. Right. There's our country and our state and our company.
All the things that matter.
Our church, our mission, our everything right there.
Yeah. So Brandon says the world will keep us busy, too busy. Yes. Everything about our culture is we are directly fighting against to have a healthy biblical marriage.
So I want to give you guys some homework. Anybody who has kids or is going to have kids, you need to go watch a very young Vodi Bakum on YouTube. Children of Caesar.
Okay.
Part 1 and part 2. A very good friend of mine. It's so funny how the enemy works and how things happen. So I connected with a girl that I went to school with, Georgia.
From high
school,
high school, like
middle school and high school,
Mhm.
but we went different. Like we were close. Middle school, we were all kind of closer than anyone, whatever. Like she would show up to my birthday party, at the
Mhm.
pool party, at
Yeah.
my grandparents' house, or whatever. But we were not close friends. We were
Yeah.
friendly. And she, she was, religion wasn't on my thing or anywhere, and we drifted. And
Was she at that time?
I think she was Orthodox Greek because she's Greek.
Okay.
So it was Orthodox, whatever Greek Orthodox
Mhm.
is, and she's become a born again, and she's been great, and we kind of reconnected, and we were talking on Facebook, and I started sharing my sermons with her, and she kind of ghosted me, and I'm like, I was talking to you just yesterday.
Mhm.
And I'm like, man, I wonder if I offended her or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, I used to comment on her memes, and because she was doing some stuff on Instagram and try to support her in her roles, and she would do the same for me. And I started sharing. I shared a couple sermons with her, and she was like, phew. And
Yes,
then
and Brandy, Children of Caesar, Vodi Bakum, part 1, part
yep,
2.
Children of Caesar, and so anyways, I ended up liking one of her things or sending a meme 100% of one of her things. And she got back to me right away without me like doing anything.
Well, so and you spoke to me yesterday saying you were concerned about it.
Yeah. Like I wondered if something she'd fallen out of grace, if who knows?
Yeah.
If
there were any issues with
right.
the communications that you guys had, and yeah.
All
the
like,
ways that the mind works to come up with rationalizations.
I'm like, just trying to be friendly and support a Christian, a sister Christian from my past. So, anyways, she, we talked again last night, and she just gotten busy and all that stuff, and she connected me with another friend that was at the same pool party that was there, and she had like a really dark life. Like her parents died and a bunch of other things that I had no idea. We just kind of because middle schools with him, we kind of separated, went to different high schools, and depending on where you lived and all that.
Well, that's when
she
you were
ended
getting
up
into your thug life.
Yeah, that's when I started being stupid. But anyways, it's just amazing, how one little crack and a gap in communication can cause friends to drift and imagine things, and you can get upset at stuff that's not even real.
Oh, 100%. The mind is a dangerous place.
So, there's something else I want to talk about with you guys, and it's about fellowship. And so, meeting Brad and Heidi today or the other day, when you are a spirit-filled Christian and you meet other spirit-filled Christians, your level of friendship immediately goes super deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the most amazing things you can encounter. But I have found the kryptonite for that.
Okay.
I have found what destroys that, or the kryptonite, or the poison that kills that. And it's pride.
Mm-hmm.
I run into it now in every single church I've been to, where dudes you'll get deep with and their pride will get injured, and it's done.
I 100% agree. And I mean, it highlights a wound or a sin that they are still working through. If it's being brought into a relationship dynamic, but it's unfortunate because it does poison many relationships that have the potential to be so strong because of that Christian bond.
Yeah, and it really begins with self-deception when you're talking to somebody. You're trying to help them, you're trying to mentor them, you're trying to give them the tough love that you can in a Christian friendship. And they have deceived themselves into thinking they're further along or there's something that they're not. There's something that they want to be. They want to be something, but they haven't done the work yet to get there. It's like I'm a doctor without going to med school.
Do you think that just kind of in analyzing what's happened with several examples of this in your life, do you think it's that you dive into relationships because you know that the starting point when you meet someone that you believe to be a true brother in Jesus in faith, that you start at a level that's a lot deeper than a typical starting point for a relationship. And you also then take the liberties of what typically a deep relationship brings, which is openness and honesty and hard truths that don't necessarily line up with the newness of that relationship. And do you think sometimes the issues come with that those two things don't line up properly, and so the person on the receiving end might not be ready for it, even though you're feeling like we're brothers in Christ. I want to give this to you because I'm trying to help you.
Well, I think like if I was chasing after something and pursuing something and bringing it up, but when they bring it up and you're asked to affirm a lie,
okay,
you can't.
All right, agree.
Right. So, for example, your friend says that he's the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's Tom Brady.
Right.
I'm not going to say that you're the starting quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're Tom Brady. I mean, like, dude, no, you played high school football, and you're great. You're a great dude. You don't have to pretend to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers starting quarterback.
Right.
Right. And if you want to do X, Y, and Z, I'll help you map out a roadmap to get there. But you got to do the groundwork first. You got to pay your dues first. You gotta fix your home first. And too often they want to skip those steps because it's easier to go chase other things than fix the hard stuff at home.
Yeah, and I think that I think you, even with people who watch our show faithfully, you John and people that you've connected with, there have been some that you can have those kind of conversations right from the get-go, and you guys are so on the same page that neither party would be offended. They would recognize that desire to help each other grow. And so I think that when you do try that and does not land well on someone that you thought you had that kind of faith connection with, I think it's probably just a sign that relationship is not going to be your inner circle.
All right, so we have two great comments here. First, you want to read Phil's?
Yeah, everything we do, everything we work on must have a strong foundation. It all starts at home, whatever home is, husband, wife, kids, or just you, let God lead. Absolutely. And then Brandy's asking, can pride be the other political party and what it stands for?
No. So, and this is where I got into an argument with a very dear friend of mine the other day. And he agrees with me, but he thinks, I don't know. I don't know what he thinks of me. He thinks I can only talk to people in one way because of the way the show is, and the show isn't meant for everyone. The show isn't meant for crazy liberals who are, living alternate lifestyles and same-sex marriages or relationships, whatever you want to call them, to come on this show to find Jesus. That's not what this show is for.
Right.
That show would have to have a very different tone and be marketed towards them. That is not my mission.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I have a high level of EQ. I could work with that. I mean, that's why we were the liberal whisperers and in the workplace violence world. Right. But that's not our calling. I do not think you can be a Democrat and vote Democrat. I think you can be a Democrat in name and not vote Democrat and go to heaven.
Like Bill, which we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Which
the second you pull that level,
himself a Democrat.
Well, because he remembers he's thinking of JFK, and he's thinking about the working man and the unions and all that stuff before it became corrupted. If it ever was not corrupted, I don't know. I do not think you can support abortion and like if you vote for Democrat your whole life, you repent for what you did, you acknowledge what you did, yes, you will go to heaven. But if you are an unrepentant Democrat going to heaven, that's like being an unrepentant Klansman.
Well, I mean, it's
well, even a Klansman who never killed anyone has less on him than, you know what I'm saying, than a Democrat who has millions of bodies on them.
Well, I think, I mean, and
hundreds of millions.
Anyone who has unrepentant sin, which of any party, of any affliction, we all have, or have the ability to have unrepentant sin, and it's recognizing that. And I think it's just that by actively and repeatedly supporting a platform that by nature, abortion, etc., is sinful. I think
well, the fact that there's actually pastors out there that can actually vote that way shows you how bad the church is. Yeah. How lost the church is. There is no way in any way, unless you had a, you know, if you wanted to compare a Nazi candidate who had gas chambers, right, and a Democrat with the abortion mills, they're the same. They're the same, right? So there, I guess you could flip a coin and pick one, and maybe the Nazi one who was doing it to the Jews, at least they're killing older people, which is horrible. You know, there is no at least, but what I'm saying is the unborn are the most innocent of any of us.
Yeah, whereas other people would say, you know, kind of the difference in
they're both horrible, and I'm not justifying one over the other. They're both evil incarnate. I'm just saying that who is more innocent than the unborn? Right. So the next one I want to read, or I want to go in, is the pride comment by Philip.
This one?
Yes. So there is a place for pride. There is a place for pride, and it's in things godly.
Yeah, and if Phil, you can
not of self.
Say if that is what you are articulating there as far as the place for pride.
Yeah, I mean, you can be proud of a good day's work. You can be proud of how you raise your son. You can be proud of your son or daughter or a wife. I was proud of you for your post the other day. There is a sense of pride, but when the only time that I worry about pride is when you make an idol of yourself with your pride.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's a definite,
and that's mentioned in the Bible over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yes, definitely, and how you're using it.
And then Paul Ray said, "Why would you want a friend you can't be honest with?" Well, Paul, you're one of those few people who you don't really have a filter. And in the beginning, you know, if you were like, I knew you had a good heart always, but you were always gruff. And I appreciated that with honesty with you, because I always knew where I stood with you. And there is a sincerity in that I really like. But there's a lot of people out there who hide behind a mask. They have a complete phony identity, or complete multiple identities that they put on around other people.
The courting, dating stages of figuring out whether someone's going to be a good friend. I mean, you sometimes there's kind of layers of how sensitive or how you need to frame something. But yes, I mean, I think at its core, you know whether someone has the potential to be a good friend or not by whether you believe that they are being honest or phony. And so, yeah, if right off the bat the guard comes up when you try to be truthful with them, it's a warning sign as far as the longevity of that friendship.
Yeah. So what else we got here?
Phil just said, Holy Bible, Holy Bible, Holy Bible. If it isn't in it, don't believe it. Don't you do it.
Exactly. Couldn't say.
How are you feeling, Phil, by the way? Hope you're feeling better. You want to talk about Bill?
Yeah, go ahead. You've got the most updated stuff on that. I mean, we both read it, but
yeah. So we've spoken. I guess it was last week now. At this point, that we mentioned that our faithful Bill. You might have noticed that he hasn't been on in a couple weeks now. We've been seeing his daughter has been posting some updates about his health. He had surfaced a couple weeks ago saying, "Don't believe it. I didn't die. I was at the hospital. I had 3 strokes." And then a series of complications following that. And then his daughter started posting on his Facebook page that he was in and out of the hospital. They couldn't do anything for him. They sent him home. And then more recently, in the last couple of days, he went to the VA hospital. And he, as of yesterday, I guess he was diagnosed with malignant lung cancer. They are figuring out what it means, what treatment plans, doing kind of extra testing and stuff like that. So he's hurting. He's not very active on social media, so I don't think that he's having the opportunity to probably watch these, but we definitely want to keep him in our prayers because he is a good man and a servant of God and
family. He's extended family here.
Yeah. So we just please pray for him because this kind of came unexpectedly, this turn of events in his health.
Yep. Bill, I mean, he's facing a tough battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's something to remember. None of us are getting out of here alive.
Yeah.
And most important thing is that you come to know and trust and believe in the Lord, and to turn from yourself and turn towards Him. And after that, it's all gravy.
Yeah, and I think we can feel encouraged because I know that he has testified multiple times the role that the show and that
that's what Melissa and I were saying, how great his testimony, no matter what happens, his testimony is going to live on.
Yeah. And just, I mean, he credits kind of finding this show and everything with his resurgence and his faith and reading the Bible again. So I think if anything, you can have confidence that he is in the right place no matter what happens.
Yep. 100%.
So that's encouraging. It's definitely encouraging for us to keep going because who else can we help with that?
Yeah. And then have you had any contact with Danae?
I sent her a message today. I've seen her post a few like Facebook memory things about Chris. I sent her a message today. She did not see it or respond to it as far as I can tell.
Yeah, John, it's heartbreaking, man. You see potential in a guy and you try to work with him and, it's tough. It's tough. But you just hope that they mature and they learn from it and you move on. I mean, it's really hard, having moved into several churches, being an outsider, coming into a church and, and fitting in, particularly, when people recognize that you're a leader, you are a hard charger, you're,
it is not your nature to be like, I'm new here. I'm going to sit back for a while and watch things. You figure out who you want to establish relationships with and what can you offer them. And, it's to your credit, but I think it ruffles feathers because there's a lot of people who think that you need to wait your turn.
Yeah. And, willing to, but anyways, when people ask you to do things, you do them.
Yeah.
So, Carol and Lou, again, so thankful for you guys. So thankful for your encouraging words. So thankful for your support. Mm-hmm. I got a video to share with you guys tomorrow. I didn't want to step on Lauren's post. We got the roads bulldozed. A great friend came down here and bulldozed the roads and got rid of all the ruts to where we can drive any vehicle up there.
It's amazing.
It's like a freeway. Now I got to make sure I don't drive off the mountain because I'm going too darn fast.
It's a little more slippery now.
It's slippery,
not as much to catch
and there's not enough like bumpiness to make you want to slow down. So you're like, zing, But we are making progress here, guys. Great progress. And he bulldozed the partial portion of the range.
It was amazing, and I mean, this is someone that you met.
I just met at the,
and you said he went through the conference, right?
Yeah, he went to the conference with me.
And,
great guy from California.
In speaking about people that you can have, was it a mosquito? Yep. That you can meet and immediately have that connection with, and then there's sometimes it's not going to happen. This is someone that you have that we are in this together connection with, and he amazingly offered his services at doing this. He volunteered his time, and so grateful. I mean,
he did 2 days of work here,
2 full days,
and just I'm like, made such a big difference. I can just start to seeing this place transform.
It's just I am repeatedly in awe of who God has connected us with. And I think this community is going to continue to just have such deep roots. All right. So Phil says, I didn't believe Satan existed until I came to know Christ. Since then, I have faced tough health issues, things I never dreamed of. Cancer stage 4, adenocarcinoma, esophageal. I faced death many times.
Wow, man. That's rough. But you know the outcome, man.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a cancer scare when I was an atheist.
Yep.
And it was, that's a lonely road.
John said, that's what you get for not waiting for your turn. Make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Amen, John.
So,
night, Brandy. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Hey, Brandy. Miss you, brother. Now you need an FJ.
What's an FJ? If it's another motorized toy, no, he doesn't.
Yeah, I do. I need.
I don't know what it is, but no.
I do need
Mama says no.
Full $60,000 tractor with an arm on the back and a heavy loader on the front, so I could maintain and do some light stuff. But that is going to be not for now. Not until the ministry starts doing way better. That's my truck.
Ford. Something?
Ford.
It's the J.
Not sure.
He's got his war wagon.
We've got the war wagon, man.
He doesn't need any different truck.
The war wagon. But I'll tell you, I took the war wagon in the backyard, and that 2500 suspension so tight, it'll shake you. It's a little rigid.
Thanks, Phil.
Awesome, Phil.
Yeah,
Phil, again, text me, your schedule next week. If you want to come on Monday, we could have you on Monday. I'm sure this audience would love to have a conversation with you. I think it'd be great.
While we're talking about events and stuff, if you guys did not see, and we haven't been actively pushing an updated announcement yet, we bumped our active shooter course from this Saturday to next Saturday. Level 1, level 2 is postponed indefinitely while we gauge interest. So there is not a training class this Saturday. There is one next Saturday. The level 1 public active shooter in the morning, church security team the entire day, the 25th. We had internet issues with streaming the webinar option. We are going to be for the women's self-defense. Are you thinking we're going to be able to resolve that, or are we canceling the online streaming option?
They're telling me they can fix it, so we'll see. We can try. Regardless, I think we should. We got to do the women's self-defense class,
one, which we're working on recording one to get for you. I know, Mary Jo, if you're still on, and a couple other people that's signed up for that. So just as far as whether we're going to continue. So if you're interested and you're not local, proceed with assuming that we will have a webinar option for the active shooter, and that is whether it's the public first 4 hours or we were going to offer the webinar stream for the full day, the church security team full day for the level 1, not the level 2.
Yeah, because that's all classroom. Classroom we can stream, the other one we can't. So again, look for the update on the women's self-defense.
Please register. There was apparently some confusion that we didn't care if people registered ahead of time.
We really do care.
We do. That's why we bumped it from this Saturday, because no one had signed up. And then we were telling people, yeah, we're gonna bump it, and they're like, well, wait, we were coming, so it's like sign up.
We had over 30 people show up to the women's
We had
self-defense
18
class.
people signed up, and then like 30 showed up. So it's, I mean, that was a great.
It was a great surprise.
Great surprise.
It was a great
Please
surprise,
sign
but
up.
we would really prefer to know who's going to be
'Cause
there.
if no one
so we
signed up,
can
we're
plan.
not going to spend our time doing it. It's a lot of time to do it.
Yeah. Yep. And then for everybody coming to the forging, which is several people on here, more than a lot of people on here, really looking forward to that. We're going to have a really good time doing that. I'm hoping to have that patio done up there really soon. You know, we're going to start with, now that we get the road clear, we might be able to get an estimate for a cement truck up there, which means we just got to frame it and then throw the lever and,
yeah,
you know,
we have to price some things out.
Well, that's the cheapest option.
The PCM bank account isn't all that deep yet.
It's not.
Really not. And the Perry's is shrinking.
Well, the Perry's are beyond tithing at this point. Way beyond the 10% tithing.
But
mark.
Regarding the forging, I do want to say for the people who are on here, we're getting some inquiries from kind of single guys looking to come out that aren't part of our community yet, about costs and logistics and all of that stuff. So we were thinking about creating a Facebook event for that, so that people, if you guys are coming down as a single person and wanting to share a room or share a rental car or what have you, kind of buddy up to lessen expenses. We want to connect people so that you guys aren't completely on your own.
Yeah. Also, it's going to be absolutely beautiful out there. If anybody wants to camp, we have like a 15-acre field where you can camp, no problem.
Yeah, we'll have to figure. I mean, the facilities, and I guess we'll have our. We were going to get a porta potty and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, if
you guys can come through the the garage to this one bathroom, I'll allow it.
Well, they're going to most likely pee outside.
We're not going to
have got a 15-foot peel,
digging holes and.
Well, no, of course they'll do that here. I'm just saying that we have a field of at least 15-acre field. You're more than welcome to camp out there. Yes. It is going to be nice and cool at night, warm during the day, cool at night, crisp, awesome fire time. It's going to be great.
Yeah. God,
lots of fellowship.
Pray for no rain.
Pray for no rain. Pray
that would
for no rain.
Change some things.
We would move the shooting from down in the dirt to up in the field.
Yeah, because the dirt, you guys experienced it doing the cross carrying.
Yeah, everyone
gets muddy.
The dirt gets muddy and heavy, and your feet become like cement trucks.
Training in some regard.
Oh right? Yeah, totally. People could do like John Wick slides,
slip and slide shooting. Yeah.
How to engage targets while sliding down a mountain.
I mean, a very worthwhile skill to have.
Yeah. So I know we're over an hour already. I had no idea. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to cover during this? I talked about the toxicity of pride, and how it can ruin fellowship. We talked about your post. We talked about. I
think you are feeling more convicted and more reinforced in doing more frequent sermons, right? And
I am. Kind of I really want to do one Sunday nights here. I don't know if I'm like, I don't want to, with all the stuff we have, racking up something to do 4 days a week or 4 weekends out of the.
Yeah, not necessarily kind of being your every Sunday kind of thing, but
I really would love to.
Not waiting for invitations to do it at someone else's church. I think kind of doing it more when your heart is feeling called to.
Well, that's where I'm letting the Spirit lead me, where if I feel convicted that I need to do something, thank you, Lorna. then I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I got one that I want to talk, I want to do a series on sin, on each individual sin,
Okay.
and how to address that and how to defeat those sins. The root cause of those sins, or some of the root causes of those sins. So that's one I want to do. But I've been getting extremely convicted during sermons saying, what do I need to hear? And if I need to hear it, somebody else needs to hear it.
Yeah. And I mean, you're so great at doing a lot of research to find, so, okay, I didn't get this at my church today. Let me go to all of my resources and see who might have done it. And I think you are finding, for a lot of things that mean something to you and very likely people in your community, kind of with your background, that there is a significant gap often, that those issues are not being addressed the way that you would have hoped to hear them addressed. And I think that's where you are starting to kind of try to plug those holes in the church world.
Well, I think that's the one of the holes in Calvary's model. Calvary is there to teach you the Bible, which is very important, right? But if they're not on the page and verse that you need that speaks to your situation that you're struggling with that time, that doesn't do you a lot of good for that problem.
Yeah, and I don't know kind of what liberty they have to say today is a different
They have as much liberty as they want. We've seen Ken break out a series. Yeah. We've seen Ken, cut off and do, several and then go back and pick up where they were.
Yeah.
So I mean they've got the flexibility to it. And I think
not necessarily in that mindset.
Yeah, and I think it's great because you got your lesson plan right here.
Right.
Right. But I think at times and in special occasions, or special moments in time require a sermon for that moment, that time, for that problem.
And I think it's important to, so for right now, I mean, you're developing this platform on doing sermons yourself. Not everybody has that calling to become a pastor or deliver sermons if they're not getting fed the way that they need to be fed for whatever their life experience is. But anticipating, okay, it's going to be Memorial Day in a few weekends, not just waiting and kind of testing to see if your pastor's going to do it. Ask to talk to him ahead of time and just say, there's a lot of people in your flock who are going to hope for a message about this on this day. Remind them, people that you've respected deeply still flaked on it repeatedly, in several examples. And it's because they have so much going on. And
it's not in their wheelhouse. They weren't veterans.
It's not their wheelhouse, and it's not on their radar given,
their experience.
The pandemic has been on, kind of put blinders on people. And for whatever reason, I think if you want to make sure that you're fed how you want to be fed for a specific important holiday, talk to your pastor about it ahead of time.
Yeah. I would love to be a place where people could show up, in person, online, first responders, veterans, and patriotic people of God, and be able to feed them, when they need that type of sermon, right? Now, I can't do kick in the pants sermons every time. People get tired of being kicked in the pants. But there's been so many people who haven't been kicked in the pants.
Yeah.
Where, like somebody said, Jay, I think you should be traveling around and just hitting a different church every week, speaking and doing this, because they all need a kick in the pants.
Yeah.
And obviously,
does that interest you?
It does. It does. It would, want to be great, be exposing them. It would be working on my strength. I'd be able to refine the kick in the pants part to having a quiver full of different categories of kick in the pants depending on what the times are calling for. I mean, trouble is cyclical, what we have.
Yeah.
So
if anyone wants to go and ask their pastor if they want you to come speak,
I'd be honored to speak anywhere. I mean, anywhere. I have no ego in this. I just want to get in front of people and share what God's put on my heart and use my testimony and my experience to be able to help others.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so spread the word, guys.
So I'm hoping that as more pastors, as I start doing more of these sermons, maybe not the 9/11 one that I was so fired up about that I probably scared away most of them. But as I continue to refine the processes, I need to get a standing podium, because sitting down and doing the Word of God, I don't feel right doing that. I just don't have the set here.
Yep.
So I need to get a pulpit or a podium here, and or a table, or set some. Just I've seen some people sit down and do it. I just feel like that's so informal.
It's a different feel.
Yeah.
Obviously for this kind of thing, it works fine. But I think for delivering a sermon, it's different. Yeah, let me pull that up.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, Phil, I lived a different life than you, Jason. And after listening to you on both shows, I'm surprised at how much our lives are parallel, if you get what I'm saying. You and Lauren are real, raw, and fearless.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. And it's because nothing is new. Every man and woman struggles in their own, and all the wounds are parallel. They all, the wounds, the father wound, and, so the abandonment wound, and so many other different, things that are out there just repeat over and over and over and over and over, because they're so effective. That's been what's been sowed in this world, and it replicates itself.
Yeah.
That's why alcoholics usually beget alcoholics that beget alcoholics, and abusers, physical, domestic abusers spread that. Pedophiles spread pedophilia.
Yeah.
Sin is contagious.
Yeah.
And that's why unity in the body for unity's sake is wrong, in my opinion. We have to be of one mind of Christ, and we have to agree in truth. There has to be truth in the church. If there is no truth, then it's subjectivity.
No, and isn't that the kicker that right now truth isn't true? Who can agree on that anymore? And so that's what's causing a large amount of this failure for the church to even get on the same page, is because no one will admit what is true anymore.
Well, and that's, again, this is what I was arguing with Mike again. He's like, you can't, not everyone can be up there, fire and brimstone. You're going to turn people off. And I go, I understand that. So what you're saying is you want seeker-friendly churches. I'm like, if your pastor is not putting out a message.
So not everyone is going to receive fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
Well,
and I agree with that. It's not, fire and brimstone is not meant for the atheist, for you to on-ramp the LGBTQ XYZ elemental P's on.
Yeah.
That's not what it's for. Truth is that if they're willing to hear truth. But this your father loves you thing is like, yeah, your father loves you so much he's going to burn you in hell if you stay the way you are. That's totally incompatible. And that's the crap that he pushes out all the time. Like, I'm sorry, God is holy before he is loving. And until I get holy, he can't love me.
Well, I think, as you said, loves you, but
but
too much for you to stay that way.
Too much for you to stay that way, and too much to let you in heaven.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think if you believe that everything that you said,
thank you,
is
Michelle,
biblical truth in your sermon, then who cares if it's divisive? Because as you said, that's what Jesus came to do. So if people fall away from it, whether it was a coincidence or not, like I share the clip of one clip out of your thing, and we dropped an Instagram follower or two. Whether that was a coincidence or whether that was because it was another person who did not agree with, fine. Here to divide.
Yeah, it's just, that's Jesus said he came, not, to do that. And that's what we're called to do. We're called to speak truth, right? And when pastors have Democrats sitting in their auditorium and they're not challenging them and saying, listen, if you're voting for abortion and you're voting for the mockery of God with LGBTQ, you're in trouble. I'm in fear for you. Like, I don't know, right? I know what God's word says.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am in fear for your eternal soul. And you know, I really think that we owe them that, or else is it love? Is it love to let somebody go to hell?
No, I mean, the
It's
same
worse
way
than
that we
murdering
in
them.
the
It's
same way
worse
that
than
we
murdering
discipline
them.
our children out of love and, everything, there's a lot of acts that are, I mean, tough love is a saying for a reason. I think it's if you don't preach truth because you are afraid of offending anybody, you are doing a massive disservice to maybe it might be a smaller percentage of the group as a whole, but the people that would hear that message and turn.
Yep.
You're sacrificing them because you don't want to offend the group as a whole.
Letting someone who's living in a sinful lifestyle and believes that they're not sinning, not exposing them to that, is literally letting them play with napalm, eternal napalm.
Mm-hmm.
And God gave me a critical eye. I've always had it. I've always been able to find the flaws in things. And I'm starting to see why I was given that ability to be able to look and see and be like, okay, here we go. And shore things up. I I just really want to say this, and I can't say this enough. Your kind words to me when I'm self-doubting and when I've got people coming at me saying, "Who are you to say this stuff?" and on and on and on. It gets relentless, and it's only going to get worse as we get bigger. So your support and your kind words and your prayers and your text messages and you guys supporting us in any way you can makes such a big difference, guys. It makes such a big difference. Um, you know, all of it.
And I know, I mean, so Carol and Lou are still on here, and they are some recent examples of having a nudge on their side to reach out to you to give you that word of encouragement.
I mean, Carol's
and being obedient to that. And because you were obedient to that, you connected with Jason in the exact moment that he needed it.
I mean, I bawled
I'll
my
text
eyes
him
out
tomorrow, or maybe not.
I mean, and Lou texted some amazing, affirming, deep words to me as well. It's just, I mean, Carol just crushed me.
Well, her analogy, right? Of
and
who you're reminding her of.
Yeah, it was so humbling, and it was such a, to even be mentioned in the same paragraph as the person she was talking about. So, it really meant the world. So if I don't respond to you, it doesn't mean that I didn't see it. It might mean I'm, got some stuff going on, or I'm, I have to hand the phone off to Lauren because I can't even read it to her because I'm caught up and emotional, in my big wussy self. So,
not wussy.
Yeah. Whatever.
In touch.
Yeah. So, thank you guys so much. So, as far as supporting this program, and then we'll set off, there's a couple things that you guys can do. You can buy swag off our website. That way you get something. You can support one of our fundraiser training events, virtual and online. I promise you, if the tech goes down, we will film one on you and give you a private password for you to get in one that you can watch in your own home. We're never not going to come through for you. You can donate with the super chat on these and over on YouTube. The sticker and the super chat, we get paid for that. You can share the program. Right now we are in the process of getting a donate button put on things so you can directly donate to PCM's 501c3 account. We got our EIN and all that stuff so we can open up our account. Right now we've been using one of our accounts, so we've been designating the funds, so we got to go do that tomorrow. Again, tomorrow I'm going to drive around on the side by side, which is PCM3, if you're wondering. We got vanity plates from all that are coming. And I want to show you the range as it's coming. I want to show you the roads that we smoothed out and how great it looks, because we couldn't do it without you guys, man. Yeah. We couldn't do it without you guys. I mean, we've tapped ourselves all the way, and we keep tapping ourselves all the way because we're passionate about this. It's Lauren and mine's job to do the loaves and the fishes, to steal Dallas's analogy.
Chosen, yep.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
be
your
like,
job to feed the 5,000.
I just got to provide what I got.
Yep.
And
thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Liking and sharing and getting somebody to watch the show with you or getting them on here helps so much.
And I was going to, we've talked about, and we've failed to mention it the last several shows. If anyone wants to essentially kind of volunteer,
we need volunteers,
peeps. There are several ways that we are stretched thin, especially Jason, on being able to grow this show as productively as possible. Primarily in the social media realm, on as you're watching, kind of taking notes on, oh, this is a great kind of a couple minute, up to 5-10 minute chunk, either very educational, very passionate, something that really spoke to you on Instagram, Facebook. That if you wanted to timestamp and send those to us so that we can cut it out quicker. It takes a lot of time to go back through these hour-plus episodes and try to recall what was a good moment. So if someone wanted to take it upon themselves to do that as you were watching, or go back and do that and send us timestamps, that in itself would be a great help. If you're tech savvy and wanted to go all the way through of completing, creating, kind of as I do, if you go into the Instagram, our Instagram page or Facebook, when we share it there, and see kind of what we do with how to create that into an Instagram clip. If you wanted to do that amount of work, that'd be even more awesome. But anything there, if you want to connect,
whatever your gifts are, we will find a way to use you. Is basically what it comes down to. If you've got gifts or experience, I could use you in a million different ways. If you were local, holy smokes, if you are a carpenter or somebody who knows how to grow vegetables, or a hunter to show us how to dress out meat, or a farmer who knows how to dress down a cow, and process a cow or chickens, or all those things. These are all skills that so many people would want to know. And I know what I know, but I'm not Joe Hunter.
And you know what you don't know.
And I know what I don't know. Important. Yeah. So, I need people who have a hunger and a desire to share their skills. It could be carpentry, it could be electrical, it could be plumbing, it could be mechanical, it could be farming, it could be, I don't even know, rock laying, I don't know. Whatever that you know how to do, we'll use it. But the social media stuff, that stuff's going to help us spread across everywhere. And we could really use that. Or just somebody who watches these things after the fact, who writes down the topics as we go. So when we're editing, we can just go in, highlight, talked about today, what we talk about. Abortion, this, that, and just time stamped it so that I could just throw that on YouTube so people can skip to the segments they want. It would change our life. It would change our life. And it would really make our channel really explode or grow faster. Now we are growing. I'm excited. We are growing across all platforms. And I'm going to, I promise you to the people who've been watching this, I'm going to start doing the audio podcast again. I know I've gotten away from that because I've been stretched on time.
Buzzsprout had been really picking up.
I want to get back on there and give you the audio versions. But really, really, really appreciate all that. So what's Philip got here, Hollywood?
Thank you, Phil. All right. So Hollywood director Tim Lowry just informed me that the documentary, The Enemy Within the Church, that he is working on, the pastor involved was assassinated 2 days ago, spilling the truth.
Wow. Well, has that pastor, been love to see that news story. If you got it, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So if you find the article, Phil, just share it. We'd love to be able to talk about that and expose.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that documentary.
So
when was it intended on coming out? I would imagine that this is going to change things a little bit. But yes, appreciate your jumping in on this, Phil.
All right, everyone. I think it's time for Lauren to take us home.
Dorky. All righty. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this evening of fellowship, for the opportunity to join Jason on a Wednesday evening and speak to you all. Lord, thank you for putting it on my heart to make and share that video about the precious lives of the unborn. And I don't know if this is a platform that I will continue to grow on, but it felt right to put that out. And I am just grateful for that encouragement that you gave me in the words to share along with that. And if you wanted to, I just pray that it reaches more people. Lord, also thank you for the encouragement by everyone here and just our amazing community. Especially for Jason as he's been working through the growing pains of turning into what you are calling him to be, and navigating the inevitable worldly impact that has, and the people whose feathers are ruffled, and the people in our community who are able to give him the encouragement that he is in fact doing the right thing, and just to keep his eyes on you and to move forward. And we are so blessed that he has the support of everyone at his back. So thank you for putting all of those people in our lives and in his life especially. Lord, we come together, locking shields in prayer for Bill tonight, with the health issues that he is battling as we speak, the cancer that he was diagnosed with, and everything else that is going on that is impacting him pretty severely right now. Lord, we just pray that he feels your peace on him, no matter what happens in the coming days. That he has confidence that you are with him, and if it is your will, Lord, bring him some healing so that he can stay with us longer, Lord, because we love him dearly. And I just pray that I know that he's likely not able to watch this, but that he knows that we are all thinking of and praying for him. Lord, and just as we move forward into this week, I just pray a blessing of health and safety and peace over everyone listening, and that they are able to navigate any trials that are going on in their own personal lives and their relationships, and that they just keep their eyes on you and gain in their confidence and love for you. And with that, I say amen.
Amen. All right, everyone. We love you, and God bless you and be with you. And we will see you back here on Friday.
Yeah.
Strength and Honor Friday. See you then.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Thank you, guys.
Outro.